All right. Welcome, everybody. I understand that there may be some sort of Super Bowl thing going on where quite possibly two football teams are playing each other for a large diamond ring or a glass bowl or something of that nature. But I'm not doing that. What I am going to do is just hang out here and drink this little full grown woodsman from Tops Brewery, which actually has a pretty interesting little label. It's sort of just a wrapper, and it's an IPA can. I guess they ran out of cans for this, or it's a new brew from them, or something like that. Anyway, yeah, exactly, Mo. Welcome. Hey guys. Well, thanks for joining in. So let's have a look, and let's do a compare and contrast against the two releases. I think it'd be interesting. A little bit of context for you from my perspective. The GDW release, I believe I picked up and played Battle for Germany first and did that a couple of times, and well, I thought it was okay. Then I went and got the rest of the modules and went put them all together and went wow. And since then I've played, I think, three or maybe three times or four times I've played opposed, where we have played face to face and done the whole thing with a team of either three or four people with a couple of good friends. And then I've also played the campaign a couple of times online on Vassal using the new Vassal module, which was re-released. It was an updated map, so it didn't have the old style maps that are in this thing. So that's a little bit of context. So I would say that I understand this system fairly well. That doesn't mean that anything I have to say about the rules or comments about how things actually work are accurate, because it's been a long time since I've touched the system. We'll see. So anyway, the first thing obviously that's different is that there's a big, whoops, that has dice in it. There's a big ass box, right? And it has all four modules in it. And I'm not going to go through all the differences because I'll show you the picture of the list of differences, and we can work all that out. But there's a lot of content in this big box, and there's no replication because each one of these comes with its own rule set and its own scenario set. And then one of them, I believe it's the Persian Gulf one, has the combined set of rules that pull it all together. And of course, that is the one that has the diplomacy cards, which you can see here that I laminated and got set up for. I got set up for gameplay when we played face to face. And in fact, that can be the first thing we look at. If I can grab them, bear with me for one sec. Here's the diplomacy cards for the new version. Now, first thing you can notice is that they're very pleasant to look at, and you can tell which side is which. And they've all been updated and corrected. There were a couple of errors on these cards that you needed to know about. If you were a game player, you had to get the FAQ and make the edits to a couple of the cards. But you can see here, this is a whole game in of itself. It's the pre-war game that you'll go through, but these are all really nicely done and all very clear and understandable. These little numbers here are going to tell you the number of shifts in terms of allegiance on a track that one side or the other, or one faction or the other, will move to or from you. So I've actually got I've got this full set, and I have another partial complete set, a partial set of all of the counters with all of the maps. But it's incomplete. It doesn't have doesn't have all the rule books and stuff like that. But it's for spares. That's how much I've played this, and I picked it up cheap. I got it like for $20 or $30 off somebody that was trying to get rid of it. So anyway, diplomacy cards, and this to me is what makes the game so interesting. Is where will all those different factions, the Tudor, the Syrians, the Mujahideen, the Saudi Arabians are going to fall with the Allies pretty much all the time, as will the Israelis typically. But some of them may not, and some of them may actually not participate, which can be just as bad as going to the other side. So that's always interesting. So I enjoy that part of the game a lot. It's a lot of there's a lot of second guessing of your opponent, which I enjoy immensely. Let's see, you guys are already at it with the commentary. Yeah, well, and I see here that we've got folks saying they've opted out of this. I think the map artwork, from what I'm seeing here, is a modern update, and it's a smart realignment of the maps too. So you now have a 6 map set versus the number of maps that's in here. We'll have a look in a second. It honors the old style, but with a modern feel, much more clear and concise on the maps, certainly. And then the counters and the charts and all the rest of it have been, from my quick look at it, we're going to get into it in this here in a little bit, in a fair amount of detail, seem to be well done. I had a look at the first several pages of the rule book and compared that to the first several pages of the rule book, the original rule book, and then also went to a couple of the areas where I knew there were wording issues that I was uncomfortable with from the original, and they have been cleaned up and fixed. The exact numbering is not precise, so there is some shifting of numbering to a certain extent, but it's not terrible. So I think it's so far it's cleaner, right? And it's certainly got much better color counters. Factions are easy to see and everything. So let's kind of go from there. So all right, I'm going to move this to let's have a look at the maps, right? So let's start there since we had a comment about that. Yeah, Kyle, I know who you are. I know that little logo. And Jezza, good to see you. All right, so let's start up here. So we've got the Arctic set is now one map. And so you've got this one map for the Arctic game, right? And then you can have this. You can add this one as well. But these two form the primary Battle for Germany maps, and you can see that we now, whereas the maps used to end. Whereas there's Warsaw, the maps ended around here somewhere. Now we're deep. We go deep into Russia, Minsk, Kiev, Poltava, and further to the north we've got Tallinn. So Riga. So you've got this whole Baltic area. Even Leningrad is now in the game, and Berlin now is all the way here, right? Which is pretty cool. And so then you've got, obviously, the Austrians set, Italy. And Italy now just doesn't take up a whole map, right? That's one thing that's quite different here, just because of the way they've reoriented everything. And then you've got the southern front map. I'm going to move these boxes here. Got the southern front map. Istanbul or Constantinople here, so Turkey and Greece and Albania and Bulgaria. We've got all that set up here nicely. And then, of course, given that it's a reprint and not an expansion, there's no connection from Turkey to that part of Turkey, which, in all honesty, you just don't need. Right, because you're not going to be moving units around from one map to the other like that. This is all mountains and nonsense. There's hardly any roads through here. It's all difficult. And then we've got Iran, Iraq, the Persian Gulf, and the whole shooting match there, right? So it's all pretty cool. All right, now let's Let me just grab some of the maps out of here. I think I've got them all in one of these boxes here. And of course it harkens back to a different time with the black and white charts. Another set of counters. Here's the Persian Gulf. Now, of course, these were smaller maps, right? So we have a lot more maps to make this game happen. So let's put this out on the table. We'll try and pop it over where stuff goes. Let's see if we can do that. Of course, it's going to have to rely on my skill as a consummate geographer. That is this section here. I put all the maps in the one box. Guess that's something I need to sort out before I drop dead, right? Yeah, so here you'll see, and I'm not going to go much further, right? But there's 3 maps are replaced by these. The 4 maps for the Persian Gulf are replaced by 2 maps. And you can see it's a pretty stark difference in the map quality, readability, and all the rest of it. You know, here's your marshes here, oil wells, marshes and oil wells. Right, so I am sharing this room with my son at the moment, so you're just going to have to bear with the, and here's the 4th one. I'll go here. I can zoom that back for you. So that's pretty cool, just to see the difference. And here we've got Bucharest and Sicily and little side snippets. There's West Berlin. West Berlin, East Berlin. And you'll see that that's the same up here. Right there. All right. So let's quick look at the maps. I'm happy to answer questions on any of those. If you have questions, let me just see. What's that, buddy? You've got a question? Yeah. All right. We'll talk about these disruption counters in a second. And let's bring the guts of the game. Oh gosh. Okay. So what?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I'm just looking.
You're just looking? Yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there is. I'm trying to find some that's on my dog.
All right. So 9 counter sheets.
9.
9 counter sheets. That is a lot. Is it what?
It's a lot, is it not?
Is it not? It is a not. It is a not. It is a lot, and it is a not. Okay. Let's just catch up on commentary here. Have they changed the order of battle? No, they have not. It's still, and this is the cool thing here. I think this is what's going to happen. This is my gut feel about what might happen anyway. With the order of battle, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. They're taking the base game and taking the base game, you get exactly what was in the game, including some of the errata counters like the F117A. I believe that's in here, and the corrected counter once they realized that the stealth craft was not what they thought it was. So they fixed some of those things, but other than that, it's the base game set in based on their expectation of what the war was going to look like in 1989. This is this set of forces, so it's an exact replica of what was in the original game from that perspective. What I think they're going to do, though, is provide us with potentially expansions where we can buy a set of counters, and maybe it'll include a set of additional set of diplomacy cards and things of that nature that will allow us to play out different scenarios in different time periods, either on all of the maps or some of the maps, and that would be pretty cool. I'd be down to purchase an expansion pack that included just counters and scenario rulebook and maybe some diplomacy stuff, right? I think that'd be pretty nifty if they did that. Or I'm sure there were folks that would be no, they're 9/16 counter size steel stone. Hey Clay, that's you. How you doing, man? They're 9/16, buddy. So they're a little bit bigger, a little bit sexier, and much clearer to read than the older counters. I can show you some of the actual counters. Where's a box with stuff in it? I baggied this game because there were just so many counters, right? And these were quite good, but really you had a couple of different colors of green, and that was it. And now you'll notice that there's more information on these counters as well, primarily telling you the number of steps, whether or not they were chemical or nuclear capable, and then these colored bars have a reference as well, and I'll show you some of that on some of the sheets that are here. There's a whole bunch of charts here that we're going to have a look at, and we'll go for it from there. Yeah, and all Jezza, all of that is in here, all the diplomacy cards and all that sort of fun stuff if you were just joining. Yeah, I certainly think we'll see many more. We could potentially see more expansions, more than one expansion for sure. All right, so let's pause with one of the things I like about the counters that I have looked at is that the color choices are really distinct, and you're not going to have trouble working out who's who. You know, when you get these multinational forces, it's very difficult to know who's who often. But these guys, now, obviously, if you're colorblind, you're probably going to have some challenges here. But the color tones and choices are really going to make it easy for us to keep track of who's who. Although I really don't want to pop these out yet. I guess I'm going to have to be gentle. And it seems like I'm losing my voice. These look like U.S. forces based on the numbers. Here, I'll zoom in a little bit for you. You can see our B-52s. So then we'll skip that, and now we've got, here's where things start to get a little different. Lots of information counters to help you keep track of some of the things in the game that you just kind of had to write down. So lots of that going on. How many packed air transport points do you have, and do you have available? It's one of the things I would always struggle with. And when things got really tight, you would hear people go, "Oh no, I'm sure I haven't used 30 air transport points yet. Let me add that up again." Same with the black, all these little nuances that are in the campaign game, where you need to keep track of something. There's going to be a counter for it. So Black Sea Fleet sorting out, and the Nordic fleets doing their business, trying to get around as well. And then you've got all the tracking for who's in the game, who's out of the game, who's retired or surrendered from the game, whether they're shaken or not. Storm stuff, all the weather markers for all the different air zones. And on the back, you've got similar stuff, right? Now, of course, these were for where you were randomly picking bits, randomly picking units. Sorry, randomly picking factions. I've got a conversation going on in the background here where my name is being mentioned, and I'm waiting for someone to come in and interrupt me. But I guess they're not going to do that. So you would then choose, or you would be allocated one of these Finnish standards or Finnish stances, I guess is the right word, or Yugoslavian stance, right? Are they going to go? Are the Yugos going to go with NATO, or are they going to stay neutral? There's three different counters there for that, and if you've played the game, you'll know all that. But that's all. That's what these all are, and there's the first guys out of the sprue. All right, so there's that. Now let's check in on commentary. Did I say nuclear? Nuclear. I don't know what I said. All right. Expanded sequence of play. Really clean and nicely outlined. Here's the original one. Side by side. And the summary. All right. And there's two of those. Now, there's a lot of stuff here, so bear with me and don't panic. Nuclear attack points, charts. You've got to keep track of all that action. Your holding boxes for both sides. The diplomacy charts, that's where all these little cards that you would use, these guys, and the little markers. We're going to move Syria from left to right, get them to commit to the Soviets or not, as the case may be. The nuke war level, Norwegian sea control, and all that sort of good stuff is there. I like that, nice and colorful there. Tech charts for both sides, if you can see that clearly or not. I'm going to grab my beer here and have a sip and try and... I'm impressed there are 17 of us that don't care about the Super Bowl business. Good for you guys. So a nice, clean, full color terrain effects chart. As you can see, there's the old one. I thought it'd be cool just to look at these side by side. I think I like all that pretty much. And one of the cool things here is, based on my looks at the rules, they've really stayed true to... I see a dog. Hey. Hey, buddy. They've stayed true to the form and the style, but just given it a graphical update, right? Now, as you'll know, there's lots of different unit identification classes, and mobility classes matter as well in this game. And we'll deal with that in a bit. And then on the other side here, we've got the terrain effects chart, and we can see here that here's the costs based on type. Right? Very nice. And also the combat effect, right? And how far you can advance. All in nice one nice little chart there. Sorry if that's not close enough. Just someone make a comment if you can't hear or see stuff, right? Oh, combat odds chart. I really never use this. It's pretty easy to keep track of stuff, but I guess this is a lot better than putting a dozen different markers down on the map. And and on the actual battles, you could just do one battle at a time and move this, slide this up and down. Here's a walkthrough of how to run your combats with the proficiency modifiers that we're all so familiar with, where if I have a proficiency of 7 and you have one of 5, that's a 2 difference. It's going to move the odds level based on this, at least 2, but less than 4. So it's going to move the odds. Very cool. Another combat track, so one for each of you. Another, okay, so here's the, now in the original game, there was a national factional data chart. And now we can see our counter colors, the name, will they surrender, what their limited military abilities are. L stands for something. I would have to look that up. I'm trying to see down here at the bottom. Can't see. Chemical nuclear capabilities. Rivals, if there are any. Oh, sorry, there you go. Rivals, if there are any. Oh, Mark Burgess deleted his message. What's going on with Mark? No idea what he's trying to do. Blue Tweezers. Hey, man, good to see you. Yeah, Jezza, all the modules, as Mo said, are in the game. All right, so critical losses. This is going to be the number of steps lost, I believe. It's either that or combat factors, one of the two. I can't remember off the top of my head. Like I said, don't pay any attention to me. That'll either make them shaken or demoralized, and that's going to determine what they will or won't do in the game. On the back here of this second one of these is these orders of organization, these colored bars on the counters across the top that we showed you earlier, or that I showed you earlier. You see here, all right? These are going to determine, I believe, what theaters they are available to be in and where they belong within those theaters. All right, I wonder if this is one for NATO. Yeah, this is one for NATO. Here we go. So there's NATO's one. AF North, AF South, AFCENT, CENTCOM, right? And here's the Warsaw Pact. And then here's an explanation of a counter, in case you hadn't seen that before. Stacking points are now listed on the counters. So we now know that, well, you knew it after a while, that everything was measured in brigade points. A brigade was one stacking point, and we knew that a division had 3 brigades, and we knew that therefore that it had 3 stacking points. But there's now we can just look at a glance and don't have to count, or we can count and don't have to remember all of that stuff. NATO symbol, country, color band, which will tie back to this Western Front, back to this stuff up here. And then with the air units, the same deal. It's air superiority rating, it's strike rating, and it's ground attack rating, all that sort of good fun stuff. And there's one for NATO as well, so that's pretty nice. Combat CRT, combat results table, air combat table. I always found that very deadly and fun. Air defense, and this is where, you know, in '89, I guess, and '85 onwards, AA was a lot more powerful than what I think this game system let it be, or modeled it as. And you can agree or disagree with it, but having played this so much, this is one of the things that rankles me when I play something like Under an Iron Sky, where the AA is so overpowering that it really changes your approach to using and consuming air, and the means and methods with which you use aircraft and your AA units completely change, particularly from this game. So anyway, obviously there are other things you can do with air in this game that you would be hard pressed to do in some other systems as well. Some of the airfield strikes and stuff like that. Okay, the nuke tables, nuclear war tables, weather tables, and proficiency mods. This is when you've got when you're starting to take. Oh no, that's for combat. All right, so that's another CRT. What's on the back of that bad boy? Nothing. Now we'll go through these fairly quickly. Off map movement for both sides, so you can put your stacks on here and chuckle them along. Same for naval movement. Now this is where all of these can be. I guess you could probably cut these if you wanted to, but you wouldn't need to do this. But for this one, but here's your, you know, these are nice size compared to the other ones. I wonder if I can find one real quick. Bear with me. Look, and here's the old unit identification chart, right? So pretty drab and pretty Spartan, right? The nuke war table, all that sort of goofy stuff. I'm trying to find those air war charts. Not in this module. Put this back in here so we don't lose it. Counters are flying everywhere. And these are the setup charts for the games. couldn't find these. I'm sure that's in one of the other boxes. So there's multiples of these, and here's where you can cut these apart if you want to and put them in the theater that they're meant to be in, or whatever the case may be. Same for here. Another one. Here we've got, oh my goodness. Okay, so now we've got a nice easy way. Instead of writing it down, we can keep track of losses to see who is shaken, who is demoralized by country, and who's going to surrender and when they'll surrender. So that's handy. Now, one of the things that I like, that I immediately saw and went, oh goody, this will make life fun and easy, is all of this. All right, all of this are setup instructions and charts. So I can lay this out on the table, know what's coming where, game turn 1 for the combined game, know what's coming game turn 2, it's got the notes on it. I can lay these out if I want to, or I can just have it as a reference and then pick them from baggies or trays. You'll remember that there were choices to mobilize units at certain times. So you got to do that. Let's see here. That's another combined game 1. So there's multiple of these, obviously. So based on the different regions of the maps that we were looking at earlier. Set up, display. So you're going to put these all these units in Leningrad. These go in the Northern Air Theater, etc., etc. Woo, pardon me for the. Yeah, Jezza does. It's not a better game necessarily. It's just a different game. It's very focused on the air war, whereas this is not focused on the air war as much. It's focused on I would call it more of a combined arms effort here, / ground war, excuse me, centric versus Under an Iron Sky and Deadly Northern Lights and Sacred Oil are actually air war centric that just happen to be on monster board game sized maps. So Battle for Germany scenario, we can see all the units that go into that for the Soviets and then the reinforcements, and it goes on and on with all of this stuff. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, I think these are all complementary games, right? That's why I own this. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bought it because I already have the original, and I have all of the titles from Thin Red Line. Completely different gameplay, different style of gameplay. If you're into hypothetical World War III, this is a must-have. So is Under an Iron Sky, because it absolutely honors the SBI Next War series, but takes a different slant and updates the mechanics and the rules and the air war and the naval stuff and all the rest of it. It's a fantastic game system. It's incredibly involved. This is, relatively speaking, a much simpler game and a much faster playing game than Under an Iron Sky ever will be. So here we go. More reinforcement displays, then the displays, then the Persian Gulf stuff. So there's all that, right? So lots of stuff. Does anyone want to see more of the maps? I can give you a closer up look if you wish, or we can. Yeah, and that's a great point. Oh, let's have a look at the rules and the scenario booklet. Okay. It is a fantastic time to be a hypothetical World War III wargamer right now. So many fantastic titles coming out. So many great remakes. So we're very blessed from that perspective. I'm just looking here. Hey, Mark. Okay, you want to look at the map, so let's do that. So, Richard, good to see you. Sorry about not saying hi to everybody here. I'm on my phone as usual, and so I'm attempting to flip to the messages as they come. and I'll show you the rules in a sec. Let's have a look at the maps kind of in detail just for Mark, since he might have missed it earlier on. So we're going to jet over to here. I can't lean too closely because I have, my son's crap, but I have a game set up underneath this that I can't lean on. So Arctic front, White Sea, Leningrad just here, the Baltics, corner falling off the edge of the table, Western Europe, Berlin is here, and then we're going to scoot all the way over, move this box lid. You guys should be really impressed. I haven't dropped the phone once yet. Warsaw, and then we keep going east, man. We're into Russia now. This is part of the extension of the game that they've added. Now, that's the only thing that's changed that's been significant with the maps is this addition of extra terrain all the way into the Ukraine, Kiev, up to Leningrad, and then we've got underneath all this, of course, is Bucharest, Italy, and under here we've got the Greek states and Albania, Bulgaria, Turkey, whatnot, right? And then the Persian Gulf I showed earlier on, but I currently have it covered up. He said moving things by the original maps. And so you can see here's Turkey and the Caspian Sea, and then Iraq, Afghanistan at the borderline here on the right, down here, and then the Persian Gulf proper with the map, with the maps, with the all the oil rigs, Saudi Arabia, Strait of Hormuz, etc., etc. Show you the back of the box. This is Compass Games game. You can read the back of the box. There's no Chinese or Mandarin or any of that, or Cantonese even. So it's really cool. You actually know things. All right, so that's that. Now let's look at the rules, and then we'll kind of go from there. We'll see what else you want to look at. Get this out of the way. Maybe I can tilt this way and you can have a look. Well, you know, I'm very impressed that I got it before you, Mo. So there. That does not happen very often. Okay, playbook. So rulebook, combined rulebook, I think it clocks in at 44 pages. Yeah, 44 pages. Index in the back, which is nice. Some charts in the back, some optional rules that I don't know for certain were in the prior game or not. I would have to check. I certainly know that chemical warfare abilities were in the game, but there's something that's different about them. And I don't know about this Romanian operations. That could well be a, oh, you probably can't read that, sorry. That could well be a new optional rule. I don't know. Let's start with the front though. So it does spend a little bit of time going over the original games, which were, you know, copyrighted and made, which I didn't realize. I thought they were made earlier than this. They were designed in 1984, which is kind of cool. Projecting a hypothetical for 89. This is why we, you know, having a war in 89 means I think you get to have M1 Abrams, right? Signature edition, what all the different things that are included, changed, different. There's a big list of those. Then it gets into defining units. We can scan that and look shit up, I guess. Parts inventory, sequence of play, which, you know, there's charts for that as well. And then really what it's doing here that's different with the old rule book, and I can grab the old rule book, we can look at it. The old rule book would just say stacking 4, and then it would have paragraphs, and it might be A or B, might be give a header. But here it's putting the numbers in and giving us 4.1, 4.2. Nice. I like that. Some more examples in the magazine, in the game. Movements, full color rules, by the way, which is really nice. Effects of docs, and I've checked the wording on, just spot checked through the rules. It's all identical where it needs to be, and wherever it's different that I've seen, it's been a clarification of the wording that was meaningful and mattered. So I am 100% with all the people that are concerned or bothered by some of the sort of haphazard, or you might get lucky if it's done right, approach with Compass. But I really feel like they have done, especially with the deluxe designer editions, I really feel like they've gone over and above with this one to get it right. They've been learning from their mistakes. They've been making things right when they've made mistakes, and I think they've done a fantastic job. And I'm so thrilled with this. As you can tell, it's not very often I get gushy about crap, but I'm pretty excited about this. It's just a really nice looking package. Isolation goes through it's all the same rules that you've played before, but inserting the new information counters where you need them, getting this right. I haven't read the rules in detail. Like I said, I've gone in and checked some rules that I knew were iffy for me, that I was concerned about, and there were minor edits for clarity on those. But in this, there's lots of goodness here, and lots of cleanup. The reservists. Now, of course, combined rulebook, it's going to be a little bit bigger than the original, and obviously with this layout and the formatting and the larger font and the breaking up of the blocks of text that Chadwick is famous for, it sort of pads out the rules a little bit, but really fantastically well done. Pretty excited about it. And then you got the playbook, and I haven't had a look at this really at all. So let's have a look at it together. The index over here tells us that we've got we can play the 4 different scenarios. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we can do Battle for Germany and Southern Front, which obviously lots of folks have done, and the Arctic Front, which lots of folks have done. The whole shooting match, or just the War in Europe, which is probably the 3 modules. Very cool. Yeah, these are just super. Briefing book, which I'm sure this is all. I would hazard to say, yeah, this is in fact, I recognize this is Frank's earlier stuff. Yeah, originally reproduced in its entirety from Third World War with some edits for grammar. Okay, so Frank's got a style of writing that you can tell immediately when you look at stuff, and he also has a view on things. And this is one of the reasons why I liked this game, is because it took the time to position itself and say, hey, here's what we think. Here's what we believe the forces are. Here's what we believe the capabilities of those forces are. And here's how it'll all play out for you. Whereas I can look at some other designers who are doing some Third World War games, which let's call them, may have an element of fantasy to them about the capabilities of certain sides that would lead you to have a very different experience. And you really may as well not be playing a Third World War game. It should just be called, space tanks or something, because one side has Uber T100s or T1000s or whatever. All right, so all this stuff, and then look, justification of the forces, right? How strong is the division, and why is it that strength? How does that all work together? And this is all straight from the book, from the original, but obviously with updated charts and clarity and cleanliness and all that sort of good stuff. Really like it. And then we get the scenarios. And now don't forget, okay, so we've got, hex numbering here, and you've got your setup here, but you've also got setup charts as well. They did this for not next war, Korea, wrong game. They did that for the Korean War, and that was really well done as well for the Korean War. So this just goes on, look, there's a lot of stuff. I've played where you choose whether you can have the Albanians or not have the Albanians and stuff like that. Some of these little things I'm seeing as I flick through here, it's cool. We would goof around with all that. Gosh, this just gets me going. I want to set it up right now, but there's no way I can within this room. All right, so there's that. So I'm going to do this now. I'm going to flip this around. Hey, there we go. So that is the Third World War. I'll try and get this steady. Whew, what a day. I got outside, washed cars. I got my first beer, so cheers. And did stuff around the house. And I was thinking that I wanted to do something because, Super Bowl, who cares? And this had come last night. My wife had just put this on my by the front door, and I hadn't noticed it. And it had been sitting inside the front door since yesterday. And so last night I pulled it out about 11 o'clock and took a few pictures and posted a couple of things online. And then I was thinking, well, how can I do a shrink grip that would be fun and also occupy my time so we don't have to watch the Super Bowl. So we're getting ready to eat in a little bit, but anyway, that's kind of my evening tonight. Is I'm going to hang out here until you guys get bored and start drifting off, and we'll chit chat and talk about other stuff or whatever's going on, and we can talk about, So for instance, what other titles are you excited about coming for Third World War oriented themes? I have a couple that come to mind, but I'd like to see what other folks have to say, and I'm going to look at the comments here. Yeah, well, Jessica, go get it. Enjoy. So let's see. No naval component, Mark. Once again, I think that's potentially an expansion. Someone was talking about that. I don't know. There's abstracted naval, right? Certainly nothing like Under an Iron Sky or South China Sea or any of those other modules. Now, you could probably link up South China Sea with this and have fun. Don't know how that would work, but you could. That would be kind of interesting. And I'm trying to think what else. So I said who was interested in Third World War titles, so hit me. Yeah, JT, what is Super Bowl exactly? Now, if you're being serious, that's a football thing, an American football thing, but I don't think you are being serious. I think you're playing with me. So I'm excited about Air and Armor coming out, and I think more so than perhaps NATO. I have been looking at NATO, and I think that one coming in for that's very true, yeah, and I think NATO's rulebook is starting to wear down on me a little bit, and I was watching the game being played on Vassal, and I think that the rules are very wordy and chatty, and I think they could be more concise, and I bet someone will do a rules summary soon and help clean that rule book up, because it could certainly use it, I think. But Air and Armor, I am very excited about the coming of that game and its opportunity for excitement, because that was another game system that I always thought should have been further developed and expanded and perhaps turned into a series, which I believe it is being turned into a series now. So that's pretty cool. So I'm excited about that. What else? What else are you guys interested in from a Third World War perspective? Compass Games also has the Doomsday series, and then the lower level one, CSS. I think that's a company scale system. That's got a Berlin release coming out. That might be interesting. I could see myself buying that potentially, even though it is an Adam Starkweather magazine, Starkweather game design. But I'm curious about that one. Red Strike, very curious about that. Well, you need to get on that. Mo, and do those videos, or do more of them, because there's work to be done to help clean that up. All right, I'm trying to think what else. So Red Strike, which is the Gulf Strike sort of homage to Gulf Strike. Then there's Aeronama, and then there's the Compass Games, OCS, and CSS games, as Mo just mentioned. Pacific version of Blue Water Navy. Yes, that would be huge. I know that there is another Next War series game in design, and I'm trying to work out if I know what it is and if I'm allowed to say. But I think it might have something to do with the Falklands. But it may not be a Next War game, but it might use the system, because he only does future hypotheticals. So there's that. And then I think he's got one other that he's doing that's a hypothetical that I forget. I don't know, maybe I'm not supposed to say. I don't know. Anyway, so there's that. What else was I going to say that was interesting about modern titles that I'm excited about? Fabrizio has the next C3 one. He's doing that. That's going to be the Bavarian module, I think, the Hofgap. So that's coming up. Is Vietnam considered teeth of a war or just European stuff? That's a really good question. I think you can include that if it's hypothetical, right? And also we can look at the China Vietnam conflict in was that in the 70s, in the late 70s? We could certainly look at that as not the late 70s, it must have been the 80s, when China invaded Vietnam for 2 weeks, or whatever it was. I think that's something that would be interesting to get some modeling done on and some gameplay on. All right, what else? Speak to me, guys. Is anyone going to go see this? What is it? Who's that Tom Cruise guy that did the Jet movie? What is that called? What is that? Talk to me, Goose. What is it? That apparently is a new one of those out. Top Gun, there it is. Top Gun 2 or 23 or whatever it is. He's supposed to be flying on a carrier and through the Himalayas or something. I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, all right. I tell you what, I'm just rambling on now. So if anyone else is watching here, I'm going to let you guys go, and we'll get caught up. Oh, Scott, the patent is full. That is true, and my brain is full, so I'm going to let you guys go. Talk to you soon. Hope you all stay well and safe, and thanks for tuning in and hanging out with me when we killed 53 minutes of that dumbass thing you guys call Super Bowl. Talk to you later.